The Republican tax plan has now been revealed, and the early polls that I've seen have it at lower than 33% approval. So Republicans already on day one have their work cut out for them to get people to back the bill. And let's see how they do when faced with some fairly obvious surface level criticisms, like in this clip.
But the bottom line is 18.6 is what companies really pay. But if they got a deduction, because at 20 it's going to mean that they pay less, if they got that deduction, how does it make it into people's pockets other than shareholders?
We're closing loopholes, lobbyist loopholes. We're also cutting special interest tax deductions.
Sir,
all of those things are going to make it much more fair, much more beneficial to all Americans.
Please answer the direct question, because in fact, when it comes to corporate taxes, you're not actually closing any of the loopholes. You're just lowering the rate. So those corporations will still be able to employ all of those loopholes and essentially pay even less. How is cutting the corporate...
No, they will not be able to use those loopholes. We are taking those loopholes out of it.
I mean, the only loophole I saw was closing, eliminating deductions for entertainment expenses. I mean,
we are closing lobbyist loopholes. We are doing away with special interest tax deductions.
Sir,
we are doing away with all of those things, making it more fair, making it more simple. What I'm telling you is that a lot of those tax deductions, a lot of those loopholes, we are closing those. We are simplifying this.
Please tell me one loophole. Please tell me one corporate loophole that you're closing. Just one.
We are closing more than one. We're closing many.
Give me a specific
and what this is going to do is it's going to simplify our tax system.
I'm asking you to give me a specific example of a loophole that's being closed.
This bill has still got to be marked up in the Ways and Means Committee, but the framework that has been rolled out thus far shows us exactly what we're going to be looking at. This is what the Ways and Means Committee is working on. This is what they're going to be marking up, what we will be voting on before Thanksgiving. I can assure you, this is much, much better than what we've got now.
Okay. That was awesome. Okay, no, I hear you. We're closing all the loopholes. Good, then give me one. We're closing a lot of them. Okay, fantastic. Give me one. Okay.
I'll give you more than one later.
So this is how the rest of the interview went. Let's watch.
She tried. She had good aim, but not
nice 26-year-old reference. The
Jesus, is it that old?
I don't know. Probably
okay.
not. No, I don't think so.
Whereas this reference is too soon.
Was like
but I think I think it's the wrong thing because he got hit. I think.
Mm-hmm. He then shot back.
Yeah.
He hit the fake news.
Right, I got you. Right.
With his return fire.
Okay, all right.
So, but guys, now let's go to the substance. Most important thing. They're not closing any of the corporate loopholes. It's amazing. The entertainment loophole is like nothing. That's $38 worth. Okay, so they said the whole point of tax reform was, no, these are not tax cuts. No, this is tax reform. So we reform and make it more efficient. What we're going to do is, yes, it appears that we're lowering the tax rate tremendously for corporations from 35 to 20%. That is a gigantic, record-breaking cut. Huge. But it's okay because we're going to close the loopholes. It's going to come out to the same thing. It didn't come out to the same thing. It came out to trillions of dollars in tax cuts for corporations, and they didn't close any of the loopholes.
Also, if it's going to be the same thing, then why are you doing it? Like if your big argument is, no, we're gonna do this big tax reform bill and in the end it'll be the same. Like then don't bother, just leave it. Leave the loopholes, don't cut the tax rate.
You'll see why in the next clip actually, but I know it's a slightly different thing, it's on the individuals, but in terms of their approach to loopholes, they didn't just not close the loopholes, they're killing the alternative minimum tax, which is designed to stop people from just using loopholes. They're killing the loophole killer, actually.
Yes, that's such a great point, John.
I try. So the concern is that this is actually going to be a massive overall tax cut, and so we know what that is. That's trickle-down economics all over again. So watch some more dodging here, and you'll get an answer to your question of why do this at all.
Bush tax cuts did not result in growth or higher wages or more jobs. Why are you so certain that this will be different?
So first, can I just comment? Did the speaker just sound like a former chairman of the Ways and Means Committee?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I know you were getting ramped up.
Just getting going.
So the question was what?
So that didn't answer any questions.
Okay, that was awesome on 18 different grounds. One is that they asked, okay, the tax cuts didn't work last time under Bush. That's a fact. So how are you gonna? Why is this any different? And Paul Ryan's like, and Kevin Brady, come on. Okay, he's like, oh, I'm not answering this one.
Yeah.
And then he comes up and he looks like mini-me, which is awesome, Paul Ryan, except balder.
A little bit. Paul Ryan's got hair.
Right. Also, just his smile, that smile in the beginning, that awful used car salesman smile. I mean, it's like that's like, you know, again, if you're directing a movie and you want to have an unctuous politician, you're the director, you do that, but then you're like, okay, that was a little too much.
Yeah.
Bring it back a little bit and we'll go again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I like, you know, Paul Ryan previously got criticism. We took this picture with all the Republican interns and they were all white, all right? So they're like, I don't know who this black guy is, but let's put him right behind us, okay? Let's not make that same mistake again. Anyway, I'm being unfair now.
I'm assuming he's a congressman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't make that assumption. Anyway, but I could be wrong. Anyways.
Yeah, also, I think it's important to point out that the question that was initially asked, although it wasn't answered, it was also inherently flawed and incorrect. They said that the Bush tax cuts didn't work, but they did work. You're just assuming what their goal should have been, and you were assuming wrong. If you were thinking it was supposed to make jobs and all that, then yes, it didn't work under that, but it did transfer significant amounts of money to the wealthiest people in the country. It worked perfectly, and so why wouldn't they do it again? It worked just fine the first time.
For the Republican donors, but of course they can't admit that. So then he goes, wait, what was your question again? Because I was trying to dodge it.
Yeah. So now look at his, they're not really gonna pin him down necessarily, but he's going to have a very interesting dodge in this clip.
But our last experiment with tax cuts didn't lead to growth or higher wages or more jobs. In fact, quite the opposite. So why are you?
So this is a complete redesign of the code so we can simplify it so much that 9 out of 10 Americans can file using a postcard style system, lowering the rates, protecting more of the first dollars you earn, making sure you have strong middle class relief. But it's more than that. We're not just putting higher octane fuel in an old clunker of a tax car. We propose to drive a newer tax car that can compete and win against any country in the world. So that redesign for simplicity, fairness, and competitiveness, I predict under this tax reform plan, America will vault from 31st in the world among our competitors to the top 3 as the best places on the planet for that next new job, that next new manufacturing plant, that next new research headquarters. That's what's different.
That would be good for corporations.
But wait a minute, that's not at all. She asked a very specific question. Okay, last tax cuts under Bush did not create jobs. Yeah. You guys, the Republicans, said it would create jobs. It didn't, and if you remember at the end of Bush's tenure, of course, we lost 8 million jobs because of the crash. And so not only did it not lead to economic growth, it led to a crash. It didn't lead to jobs. So what evidence do you have that this will lead to jobs since it didn't work the last time?
I have a postcard.
I got a postcard. I got a newer tax car. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. And
pro tip: when you're making a ridiculously clunky analogy, don't put the word clunker in it. It's too on the nose.
And I predict that we will go from number 31 in a category I just made up and it's totally unclear to number 1 in that category. And yes, but what about the jobs? Oh well, okay. For that, we go to the next clip.
Okay. So what's interesting about that may seem like a really bizarre. Why do they keep coming back to the stupid 1-page thing? And it's an important note that it's not true. You will not be able to fill out a postcard in the end. But they really, really want you to think that you will be able to. And back during the debates, they kept coming back to this one piece of paper. Carly Fiorina, Ted Cruz, they all think that's the most important thing. And I don't think it's a stupid strategy. I think it's a very honest strategy where they are betting that you will let trillions of dollars be transferred to corporations and the wealthiest individuals in the country because you really just would prefer not to have to fill out as much paperwork. Yeah, that laziness will trump financial self-interest.
That was the, as it turned out, the soul of the Herman Cain campaign. Remember? Yeah, everything was going to be 2 pages, or if it has to be 2 pages, throw it out.
Yeah, and eventually they're going to boil everything down to just 1 tweet.
Right.
Okay, if we can't do it in a tweet, we're not doing it at all.
Now we're going to need the 280 characters.
but there's a real reason they do that. So they paint it as simplicity, and then don't worry, you don't know, filling out your taxes is a pain in the ass, and it seems like a nice populist thing to do. But the real reason is, well, if you only have one piece of paper, you can't have that many taxes, and they don't want taxes on the rich. And if you only have one piece of paper for all your laws, well, then you can't have a lot of regulations. You can't say, hey, you know what, the crimes are murder, rape, robbery, and I ran out of room. So there's no room for financial crimes, and we're gonna deregulate everything. So it's part of their slash and burn strategy, and I think it's clever. But the thing is, it's not polling well because the American people have seen tax cuts for the rich, and it didn't give them jobs. Help us build independent media. Become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.